Huh. Alright. Looks like you didn't even need 20. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Oh man.
Yeah, it's been a while in the making, right?
Yeah. On top of that, it's like whenever I play a new game, people only see like the most embarrassing parts of my play. Like I was playing with Albert last night,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to castle with a queen. And I literally looked at my board, looked at my position, and conceded 3 moves after.
Yeah, but the funny thing about this, I don't know if it made it yet, but I did the same thing actually in a puzzle earlier where... Well, first thing is I saw the clip. So, like, I saw the clip, and then I kind of made fun of you. But then, like, literally, like, 20 minutes later, I was doing a puzzle, and I did the same thing where, like, I took my king, and I tried to move my king on a diagonal down the board, and it wasn't a queen. So, I'm actually in, like, no position to talk right now after that happened.
It happens.
So what's your background in chess? Because like I saw you playing Albert a few days ago, I think it was, and you played when you were younger, right? Like actually in tournaments.
Okay, so I played when I think in middle school. I was in a private middle school. I played against whatchamacallit. I played in like state competitions. Someone found my thing. I think I played in 14 total tournaments, and I was at total of like I don't know 1080 rated. I was really young. It wasn't that high actually.
No, but that's pretty good because like you're like my age, right? You're like around 30ish, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah, so like actually 1080 and playing like state competitions like in middle school. I mean, yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, but that's like that was a lot better back then than I think it would be now for sure.
I have a little bit of a whatchamacallit. I just remember in my middle school because we had a really young master level, like one of the youngest ever, like in the state. And so like I always felt like, damn, like this guy's so much better than me. But
Who could that have been? I'm trying to think. 'Cause I actually should know who it is.
William On. Someone pulled up an article where he was still competing into like high school and doing pretty well.
Okay.
Wasn't like close friends, but
yeah. I don't remember the name, but anyway, yeah. But if there was someone that good, then yeah, of course, like you were definitely in one of those schools where there were a lot of competitive people for sure. So do you want to do like a lesson? Do you want to play? How do you want to like do this?
I don't know. Kind of down to just play, and then we'll figure out what happens after. If that's okay.
Cool. All right. Then yeah, I think a game should automatically start in a second.
Oh wait, let me go to live. Sorry, I'm doing a chess. Like puzzles.
Oh sure, yeah, you can. That's fine. Just wait. You can just do this one puzzle first.
Okay, wait. How do I? Well, she's. Is it? Well, I'm already done. Okay.
Yeah, just click on play and then live chess, I guess. Well, you got the puzzle correct.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So do I always? Oh wait, it automatically started.
No, the devs just did it.
Oh, I was like, wait, you can take control of my game.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, there's certain if you have the staff powers, you can do that. You can just force games to start, but normally, yeah, that wouldn't be the case. They're only like probably like 5 people can do it, so don't worry.
Actually, after coming back and playing, I find that like my like patience is like I'm not a very patient person. Like 10 minutes is generally about like I think my favorite time format to play for chess. I think 30 minutes is really long, and 5 minutes is way too short.
Oh, interesting. Is that? Are you saying that like that's a good thing or a bad thing, actually?
I just accept it, like it's a fact, so to speak.
But like when you were younger, was it the same way, or did you like prefer?
No. I definitely was a more patient person. I used to love whatchamacallit, like playing JRPGs. I used to play like a lot of them. Like they were like my favorite games to play, pretty much.
Okay.
And nowadays I can't stand them. Like not at all. Like not at all.
Really? Huh.
And so like yeah, my patience just gotten a lot lower. Also, I play with BOXBOX. His chat just makes fun of me. They call me a pawn pushing simpleton. All I do is I push pawns. I'm a pawn pusher.
When I saw, yeah, but you're playing very well so far. This is quite good. Like there's nothing you've done that's wrong. This is actually like if I was playing you and I didn't know who you were, I would think you're much better than you are. I think you're like 1800 or 1900 at chess.
Oh, okay, I'm flattered. I'm very flattered when you say that.
I'm just being honest. You have a good pawn structure. Your pawns on d4 and e5 are very well placed. Like chat finds a way to like. I think chat. If you're not like a master level chess player, I think you're like you're a streamer on Twitch. The chat is gonna just basically confuse you. You like don't even know what to believe when they talk to you.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It's like because with BOXBOX, I think they were always like they're always trying. Are you sure you want to do that one?
Oh wait.
It's okay. I'll just play a random move, but that's slight.
Oh. Huh.
It's okay. I'll just make another move.
But like.
Because that was just a free bishop.
So should I take it back or should I just take the trade right now?
On this site, they don't really allow takebacks, so just take the bishop and we'll just keep the game going.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if it's good to allow takebacks or not. On some sites they do, on this one they don't. Because like if you play a real game, obviously you can't take back a move. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's tricky. But so like now like do you have an idea in mind here? Because this position is very kind of close.
I haven't had an idea in mind since I started the game. The way I see chess is like on just I see it more of as like on a basic level of like a tempo based thing. Like you apply pressure in certain areas and you wait to see what works. And when you stick something, you make a fork or some sort of pin. You either overwhelm the area with pressure or like they respond well enough to relieve it. And then that's just how I see the game. Right.
Okay. So like in this position, what area do you see like as
like it's just a mess in the mid area. And so like I'm not sure what I'm looking to pressure. So like I think from this position I'm looking to pressure around. I just want to push my knight deeper and see what the response is.
Right. So there basically are two ideas, and this is why what I said before with your pawns is actually important, because where your pawns are, they're very good. When you get the pawns on d4 and e5, you can put the knight on d6, but you can also try to bring a knight to like g5 and put a queen on h5 as well. So that's why your pawns are actually very well placed. And I thought that like if I didn't know better, I would think you're a really good chess player.
Up until I made the bishop, and you're like, this guy fucking sucks.
Not exactly. You're just nervous. Like I saw your games. I saw your games against Albert, the first set of games, and you played the openings really well against him, like really well.
I also think he's the type of player who, like, if you throw something new at him, it's very.
True, he gets like disoriented. He doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh. So from this position, I'm just like, how do I get my rooks into the field? And I don't know.
Yeah, so like normally the way you would try to do it is like use, as I think you know, like the E file and the D file generally are like the files that are most important in the game.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't really use like the E or the C file. You know what a rook lift is, I assume.
A rook lift?
Yeah.
Oh wait, what's a rook lift? Clarify, please.
So like, not that you should do this, but like a rook lift, for example, would be if you could play like pawn to a4, rook to a3, and then swing your rook over to like h3 or g3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly obscure, but...
Okay. That's interesting. For me, is it correct to push pawns here?
Normally what you would want to do is, so you have a really good knight, and your pawns are, I don't really know which pawns you would want to push, because essentially what you want to do is bring your rooks into the game and try to attack my king.
Yeah.
So I guess to conceptualize it, where would you want to put your rooks in this position?
Somewhere around the ECD and essentially moving up. Like
right.
my next play here is definitely going to be rook to b7, but
oh, you mean knight to b7?
Knight to b7, sorry. And then but after that, I have no idea what I'm doing. Actually, just kind of reacting to whatever happens. There's no plan.
So in this position, you actually should try to have like a 1 to 2 move plan in general, if you can, of like where you want to conceptualize your pieces being, like especially the queens and the rooks. The other pieces aren't super important, but like the queens and the rooks, you want to try to see if there are squares you can put them on.
Okay. Well, let's start with this and see what happens.
Okay. Well, the problem with this is you're going to see my rooks get very active now.
Is it possible? Huh. Oh. I just take the pawn, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically you've lost your knight for 2 pawns, so this is actually very problematic now.
Yeah, huh.
Yeah, so like again, what you want to do is see if you can somehow put your piece in the center of the board to attack. If you can do that, then you're doing well, but otherwise it's kind of a problem.
Oh, sorry, you cut off a little bit there. What happened?
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So basically, what I was saying is, in this position, you're trying, since you're behind, you want to bring your rooks to the center of the board if possible.
Yeah, I just worry that when I bring my rooks in the center, my sides are gonna get chipped real hard. I guess that's just what happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, here there's not really much you can do because you blundered away your bishops and knights. So this position already is just really bad because I think you're going to see what I'm doing here, probably. Yeah, so chat, since I changed the push to talk, I can talk to you guys as well. The problem here for white is that basically this bishop is really, really strong. It's coming down towards the king here, and white's queen is in kind of off sides. I mean, he should have put the other rook in the center, but it's still really, really, really bad. So I'm going to go here to go for the checkmate. Yeah, I assume you see my idea already, what's happening.
But how does this change?
So do you know what a battery is?
No.
Okay.
I know what a real life battery is. I don't know what. Okay.
You'll see it coming very soon. Very, very soon. You're gonna see what it is.
And then so I go here, here, here. Huh.
Yeah, so here it comes.
Okay. Is there a way out from me on this position?
You can probably avoid checkmate for a few moves, but basically, yeah, your king is just getting killed on this diagonal because the queen and the bishop, they line up. And so in chess, this is what we call a battery, when you have the queen and the bishop on the same diagonal trying to attack down towards your opponent's king.
Oh, man. This is a definite resign. Any protection I do here is like I get forked into stuff gets taken real fast.
Yeah, because basically I think here you're going to lose all your pawns because the only way to avoid the checkmate, I think, is to move your king up up one square. I think it's the only way, really.
Yeah, or it's like here and then.
Yeah, now I'm going to go check.
I just get everything eaten.
So now I'm going to take.
Was there a reason why you didn't go Queen H1?
The reason I basically was just deciding which move to play. All moves win here, so I didn't really see any reason to take your rook.
Shit. Okay.
Right, and now I'm gonna go.
All moves win. Holy fuck. Okay.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, this is going to be a checkmate coming here. This is, a problem for white. It's hard to stop the mate on e2. It's hard to stop the mate on g1. I also can take all the pawns. It's just really, really difficult to play here. But I think the thing is, what he should have done is conceptualize the idea rather than going for the pawn. Yeah, and now you see it, right?
Yeah, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's just checkmate, basically.
Oh, God. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, basically in this game, actually, I think I can invite you to the board. We can just take a quick look at it because there isn't a whole lot that I would mention, but just BOXBOX killer. All right.
That's why I made the name for him.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I sent you an invite to the board, so you should see the board. So you can actually make moves now. But yeah, basically what I was gonna say about this game is well, the first thing was this. So do you know what this opening is called that I played as black?
I have no idea.
So this is called the Hikaru defense, where you put your pawns on the two central squares, but then I meet it like this. Do you know what this opening is called, by the way?
I'm gonna say no to everything you're gonna say. Hikaru, no.
This is called the French defense, where black plays 1 in front of the king and then 2 up in front of the queen.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's back up. So let's say black pushes a pawn and the knights come out. You played this against Albert. So which opening is this?
I consider this just this. No, I don't know a single opening at all anymore. I don't remember any. All I know is this is the most standard opening.
Oh, so you remember the moves, but because it was so long, you just don't remember the opening games. But you remember the moves.
Idea. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what any of the openings are called.
Okay, all right. No, that's fine. As long as you remember the move. If you remember the moves, actually, that matters a lot more than remembering the name, obviously. But here you push your pawn to c4, which is actually a very bad move. Do you see why it's a bad move?
No. I'm curious.
Because I can just take your pawn on e4 here. This is just a free pawn.
Oh, because usually when you do this play, it doesn't work out that way. It's because it's usually offered I think initially, and you have to either take or develop something else. Okay.
Right. So the opening that you're actually thinking of is when you don't open with the king pawn. So in this opening, D4,
oh, you open with the queen pawn.
Right.
Ah.
So this is the one where you go c4 because you haven't moved the pawn in front of the king. Right. And then if I take this one, then you can push the pawn in front of the king, and your bishop is going to capture the pawn.
Right. This is actually the opening I prefer. I don't know why I've been doing it with the king side as well.
Okay, because the games against Albert that I saw you were playing, you were actually playing you were playing e4 against him. There's one game that you played in particular that I was very impressed by. I'll just show you the first couple of moves. So you played this one. I think he captured, he went here, and then you took and you pushed this pawn, which was very impressive when I saw you play this game, because this is a very advanced opening strategy. It's something that most people below Grandmaster don't play. So I remember when I saw this game, I was very impressed that you played this line. But if you prefer playing the pawn in front of the queen, that's actually then we can just start a new game where you play that one. But there was one thing I wanted to show you. So normally when you get this structure, specifically you get these two pawns here, this, pawns on d4 and e5, and black doesn't have an immediate pawn break towards the center with c5 per se, or something that I can attack this pawn on e5 with. Normally what you want to do is you want to put your bishop on the diagonal towards the pawn that's right next to the king on h7.
And you line up your king here?
Yeah, you can make arrows, or you can make moves as well.
It'd be
so normally the way you do this is you want to make the battery. So I'm just gonna make random moves. So how do you make the battery here? Okay, yeah, there are two ways. Either you can like move the bishop and the queen up, or you can do the same thing with the queen like this. And this is very, very strong because basically your pieces are all very well placed. Like your bishop is on this dark square diagonal, and the bishop on d3 is lined up towards this pawn on h7. Whereas my bishops are not really doing a whole lot. Your king is very safe, of course, with the pawn and the knight around it. So this is basically winning for white, or very close to it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
in this position, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you can even turn on the evaluation function if you have it up at the top.
I don't.
Oh, you don't have it? Okay.
I don't think I have it.
Wait, okay, that's weird. It's a setting. Don't worry about it. I can ask the devs about that later. But anyway, yeah. Like if I turn it on, let me see. Yeah. So on move 9, this move 9, which we're at right now. Do you know how computer evaluations work? Yeah, I think it's in settings.
I just know they're called engines.
Yeah, there should be something in settings, I think. But it's fine. Don't worry about it right now. Anyway, on mine, when I turn on the computer engine, the evaluation it gives here is basically plus 1.5. So the evaluation works the same way as like just normal counting. So if it says it's plus 1 point, that would mean you're better by the equivalent of 1 pawn.
Oh,
the pawn is worth
a piece and a half up? Wow.
Yeah, so you're like 1.5 pawns up in this position because of how bad my bishops are and how good your bishops and your queen are in terms of attacking. So
okay,
and then I'll keep going. Right, and so why do you think I push this pawn? I assume you know that generally pushing these pawns, like especially this one to f6, is not good. Maybe you don't know why it's not good, but I'm sure that you remember.
Okay, assume I don't remember much. From my position, it's like you push this pawn because it opens up the rook diagonal, or the rook, not diagonal.
Yeah, the file for the
line.
Rook.
But also, it allows you to open up your I'll call it backline, like these units over here. It's like you're all clustered in, and you can't get out unless something breaks, whether it's left or right side. And for me, it's like, oh, you just went to right side because it's just easier for you.
Yeah, so basically the reason I did this, it's twofold. You're absolutely right. Like fundamentally, I want to bring this knight, this bishop, and this rook into the game. There's like no space because your pawns in the center control all the critical squares. So when I do this move, first of all, I want to get rid of this pawn. So like, let's say we trade, you no longer have a nice outpost for your knight. So an outpost is where you get like a knight that can't be removed. So like once you got this knight here, there are no pawns that can remove the knight. I don't have a dark square bishop to attack it, so it's going to be very hard to remove this knight from this square. So when I push the pawn, I basically want to remove this pawn, so you no longer have this outpost. And then secondarily, I also want to bring the bishop, the knight, and the rook into the game.
Okay.
So this is actually, I mean, it's very hard to play this for white. You played here, I took, and now, as I'm sure you've seen now, this is kind of a problem because I can take your knight.
Yeah. Where I should just push the pawn, right?
Yeah, if you take with the pawn, you support the knight on d6.
And the knight's still there for like the rest of the game, pretty much.
Probably more or less. I mean, there might be some tricks here where actually there's a direct trick which says you can play knight takes pawn.
Then we just trade. Which is better for you though, because he ended up taking my super developed piece.
Right. So I'm actually ahead by 1 pawn here, but this is actually one of the hardest things in chess, is that white is still much better.
Huh?
So you're behind by 1 pawn, but white is much better. And I'll tell you why. So once you play queen here, the reason that white is much better is because my extra pawn, which is this pawn here on e6, it's not doing anything.
Oh.
And as I said before, so what is this knight? What is this called when you get this knight here in the center?
I know how to do homework.
I just said what it is. I just said what it is. Don't worry. I just said what it is. It's an outpost.
Okay, right, an outpost.
Because basically, I have no pawns. Like, there are no pawns that can get next to the knight to remove it from the square. I have no dark square bishop to, like, try and trade it. Yeah. And you're just going to overprotect it with your rook and your queen.
Okay. Is exactly what I would have done, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And now beyond that, once you get, let's just say we get this position, how would you, so you don't want to remove this knight, right? It's very well placed. Yes, so you want to put your pawn there, to support the knight. This is very good. So how would you do that? Because if you push this pawn right away, I'm just going to take your pawn and laugh at you.
Wait. How? Oh, yeah. Is it this and then this? Oh.
So what's the move?
It's this and then this, right?
Yeah, so you actually go g3 because it stops the knight from the square. Like, I'd like to move the knight to attack your queen, but then also you push the pawn. So let's just go a little bit further. So now you have this nice knight here that's protected by the pawn, the queen, and the rook. So you've kind of gotten the optimal setup in terms of where your knight, your queen, and your rooks are placed. So now you want to find a way to attack.
And it's the file. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. So now you want to go after the king, like put the bishop here and make this battery right down towards where my king is.
And he can't leave because of the bishop or
right,
the knight pressure.
So for example, I'm just going to make a random move. And if we were to reach this position where I stop the checkmate, what would your next move be?
Probably this.
So have you done a lot of tactics or not?
I have done nothing. All I do is I play at like 4 a.m. So I can't even process like 2 moves in advance. I just like, this looks right, and I play it and I pray to God I'm right.
Okay, it's not a bad move, but actually, I mean, you can play like knight takes pawn here.
Oh.
Because if I take the knight,
it's mate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you respond with? Like, if I take it, do you have to take?
Well,
you
I mean,
can't
this
take, right?
What I'm showing you is not specific to this position because there is a way that I can survive here, but I'm more showing this to you because I want you to see the pattern more than anything else. This actually here would not work because I have an in-between move. So an in-between move, I mean, as I just said, in-between, of course, means there's an in-between move, but I can play one move before I capture the knight here.
Oh, yeah. Let me think. What is it? Is it this? There's no way. Wait. How do I take this out?
Okay, so for example, I can play a move like queen here, which is a check, but I want to play a move in between so that I can capture this knight next move.
The only thing?
So like let's map it out. So there are a couple logical moves. You can always move your rook, but if you move your rook, that doesn't do anything because then I just move my knight.
Okay.
So you can move your rook, but that doesn't actually create any threats. So what you need to do here is you need to find a move that's an in-between move where you create threats so that you can then capture the pawn next move. Or capture the knight, sorry, not the pawn, the knight.
Is it just pawn push?
Well, okay, so as I said before, if you move your rook, I just move my knight, and I laugh at you. If I move the pawn, you just take the rook. Okay, so what?
And the same thing happens. Oh, shit. But is it this for the threat?
Right, so as I said, you can always move your rook, but then I move my knight. And again, you're just getting checkmated pretty soon.
Like, aside from this play, the other options are what? This? And this. Both seem...
Okay, so I'll tell you what the move is. The correct move is that you can move the knight here.
Oh! Pressure the queen?
Right, so I pressure the queen, but like if I move the queen away, now I can just take the knight. Because you no longer have the queen to make the checkmates.
Oh. That makes sense. As soon as I see it, it makes sense.
Right, well, I mean, that's what's hard about chess. It's very oftentimes when you see it, it's like... Then it's
hindsight's
obvious.
Definitely 2020 here.
Yeah, and even for me, I have the same issue, just with computers instead of humans. Like, there are many times this happens to me. So basically, the main thing is, like, understanding from this game especially, like, with the pawns where you got them, the concept of outposts specifically. And then secondarily, that when you get this pawn structure, you're always looking to try and create checkmates down towards the black king.
Okay.
So all right, I think let's start another one.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Being I have so much information, and I'm just like.
Well, I guess what I would say is that it's more like it's about the concepts. Just think about where the pawns are, and think about the concept of outposts. And then the third idea is just remember when you have this sort of the pawns like this, and there's an open diagonal towards the king, you want to put stuff on the diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more just the concepts surrounding where your pawns are than anything else. If you just remember that it's not too difficult, I don't think.
Definitely controlling mid is like the way to win almost every game. And then keeping stuff in mid deep is like the way the game works. So like I know like fundamentally that's how I think about the game. I think because I came back and I don't know anything, I don't remember, a lot of times I'll end up trading pieces for a better position and hoping that like people fumble, as opposed to actually knowing how to do it without stacking my pieces.
Okay.
Like a low, like a what you call it, a risk.
Right,
Probably
it's like
unnecessary
you're trying to avoid taking the risk. It's like trying to
Yeah.
I will say from what I saw though, you were I do think your opening, even if you don't remember the name of the openings, you're the opening stage of the game, you are much better than Albert.
Oh, okay. Well,
like maybe you don't remember what it is, but like even this is just very classically normal. This is just good.
Cool.
So now remember, you want to develop your pieces.
Yeah, but is there a downside to pushing pawn here?
Which one?
The C file pawn.
Oh, you mean pushing it to C5?
Yeah.
Yeah, normally you don't want to do that because you want to potentially take the pawn. Very rarely do you want to push the pawn because you're creating a you know what a pawn chain is? It's where you pawn supporting each other, kind of like a connect 4 or connect 3.
Yeah.
So when you create pawn chains, most of the time when you do that, you want to do it towards where your opponent's king is. And here, if you do that, my king is on the other side of the board. So if you push a pawn to C5, you have the 2 pawns in a row, but you're creating a chain towards the side of the board where my king isn't.
Yeah,
like my king is just all the way on the other side. So normally you don't want to do that. Normally what you want to do is the same idea. Bring the knight and bring your bishop into the game.
Okay.
So like in this position, right? Yeah, perfect, absolutely perfect. And again, another question. I mean, you probably forgotten, but do you know what this setup is with these pawns on F4, E3, and D4?
No idea.
Okay, so it's like this is close to what's called the Stonewall formation. So I think Fuseli calls it the hat, but this is basically a Stonewall formation. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess this is like upside down, kind of. But anyway, yeah, it's like it's like yeah. Let's go knight here. So basically, what you do is you try to over protect the square in the center of the board when you bring your pawns up like this. Oh, and yeah, Fuseli's in the chat. Yeah. Hey.
Oh. Wait, she's here?
Yeah. Well, in mine at least. In mine, yeah.
Oh, wait. She said she'd love to play me. I'm down, actually. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think in general, like when both players can learn something, this is where you gain the most from it. Because obviously, like if I was just playing you full strength and not explaining anything, it would just be like, I mean, it wouldn't be fun because like you're not learning anything, and I'm just like basically.
I'm just getting beat down.
So like here, okay. If you think about the position, like you want to develop your piece and get the king out center, that's always the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, because you brought your bishop and your knight out really early, your bishop to g5 and your knight to e5, you always have to be mindful of like if pieces are going to be attacking them. Like here, for example, it doesn't work, but I could play a move like pawn to f6, and I would fork your bishop and your knight.
Right.
So when you bring pieces out really early, you have to be very mindful of if they can be attacked, as opposed to, say, being like very traditional, just putting the knights out in front and then moving a bishop and castling your king, which is the traditional kind of setup. So okay, I'll take your knight. Okay. Now I'm gonna push this pawn. Why do you think I push this pawn here to f5?
Oh, what the? It blocks the diagonal to your king.
Right, because your bishop on d3 is really nicely placed for creating mating threats.
Yeah, that's the only reason I pushed it off. Fuck.
Yeah. So now again, you want to castle your king, of course, but you have to be mindful because you see your bishop and knight are both under attack here.
I don't want to give up. I feel like I need to take over my bishop here.
That's the best move, yeah.
But it doesn't feel good. It feels really fucking bad.
Why?
I don't know. It felt like I ended up having to let go pressure when I didn't want to. It's just a feelings kind of thing. Maybe not like like an actual thing.
Okay. So I think it's like what you should do is like there are a couple things. You need to be able to spot the obvious, like the 1-2 move combinations, which I mean is most important. But also beyond that, it's just like you kind of have to conceptualize where your pieces are and where you want them. This is since you're not a complete beginner at the game of chess, like you clearly played quite a bit when you were younger and you're remembering things, is like where do you want the piece to be? And in a position like this, if you just look at the pawns, it's very symmetrical. Like the pawns are kind of mirroring each other. And when you get positions like this where this happens and it's kind of closed, there's nothing going on in, in the mid lanes, the E and the D file here. Normally what you're looking for is like an idea. You're trying to say, where can you, like if you could magically put your knight somewhere, your bishop or your rooks on certain squares, where do you want to do that? And then you react to what your opponent's plan is.
I was wondering if you're going to take that. That's the only prime position thing I have.
If I didn't take your knight, though, that would have been another outpost because I had no dark square bishop and I have no pawns that can remove the knight from that square. So that's why I took. And your capture was correct, too, by the way. This is the correct capture.
Because if I gave up the other line, it puts so much pressure on my right side.
Yeah. No, this is correct. This is a grandmaster move, taking with this pawn. And the reason it's a grandmaster move is because I don't know if you learned this when you were younger, but one thing that you always try to do is when you have like the double pawns, one on top of the other, and here you have two of them, the general rule is that you capture towards the center, not away from the center.
Yeah.
So normally what you would think is when I take your knight, you should capture with the F pawn because you're bringing a pawn closer to the center. But in this case, this is correct because what's going to happen is you should actually try to open up the middle part of the board.
Yeah.
So now you want to be very careful because I think you see my threat, right? So I'm going to go pawn takes pawn. You're going to take with your bishop, and then you're going to lose your queen.
Let's see what this does.
Not a bad move. Okay, also quite reasonable. Yeah, this is good. This is actually very similar to what I showed Fusli in one of the lessons with her before her game in PogChamps.
How's Fusli doing right now in PogChamps?
I mean, unfortunately, she's in the bottom bracket because she didn't know how to mate with two queens. Be careful what you say. I think she's watching. Be careful. Be careful.
That is unlucky.
Yeah, I think some of the players who are newer, it's hard for them to remember the pattern, like that you can just straight up mate with like the queen and the rook or just the queen.
I mean, like I think I understand the simpler one. For me though, like, I hit endgame and like my brain dissolves. But I also don't know if that's true or just because I'm playing at 5 a.m. Or like I literally can't comprehend
Yeah, I think,
Both
I mean,
moves
the
in a
thing with
row.
end games in chess is it's like it's much different because basically it's the same thing where you're trying to conceptualize where your pieces belong, but it's also very much like a math problem where it's a straightforward move by move. It's like I do this move, you do that move, this move, and then that move. So they're very tricky though. The end games are extremely hard even for someone like me because there's so few pieces on the board, and you would think it's straightforward, but many times the calculation of the precise sequence is not obvious. Okay. Okay. Good move.
The en passant.
No,
Shit.
no. En passant is only if I just moved f7 to f5. But the fact,
So I could do a4 here, or I can push up a pawn here and be fine. Here.
oh, I thought you meant my pawn. Yeah, I mean technically I could en passant here. I
Oh
wouldn't do
shit.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize you're talking about that side. Okay, sorry.
You're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, great. No problem. Oh fuck.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not a problem. Okay, now actually this move would have been great one move ago.
Oh.
Because I put my
you
rook on
didn't protect your
a7.
bishop. Now you just get a pawn for free here.
Right, but I won't do it. I'll take the pawn. I'll take the other one so that we reach an endgame. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. Still even material. You're still doing very well.
What the fuck do I do now? What the fuck?
You're doing very well. You've played this game very well so far.
The problem is, I have.
Yeah, you've got two sets of these double pawns.
It's so hard. I can't move. It's like I move. It's like a bishop play, right? So,
Yeah, mainly the problem is that your bishop is kind of dead. It has no way of attacking anything. Like it's actually blocked behind all these pawns. These walls of pawns. Your bishop can never attack any of my pawns or anything here. Yeah, this is very, very good. You've played this game very well.
fine. So the problem here is like I shouldn't offer a trade, right?
Well, if you could trade rooks here, you would actually be doing well because I have no entry squares. But I'll explain that after the game. But you can't. It's problem though is I don't actually have to make the exchange. I can just take this pawn.
Ah. Okay, it's due. I just gave up 2 pawns. Oh man. Wait, you force a trade here. I can't stop you. Right?
You can maybe move the rook over. That's also a move.
If I move it over, then you... Oh, I guess.
Okay.
Ah, there it is. Wait, what?
So you know what a discovered attack
Oh,
is?
you had a... I didn't even see the bishop file.
Right.
Okay. If I ignore it, I have to trade. Because if I don't and run, then I just lose. Oh my god. It's over anyways. I can't catch. Okay, there's a resign. Okay, I can't catch. There's no way.
Yeah, but that game you played quite well again. Let me show you a couple quick things. Yeah, so I sent you an invite to the board again. I think it's bottom right hand corner.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this opening you played relatively okay. Like you brought the knight out. This is all pretty standard. But here, you very rarely want to bring your knight into the game right away. So normally what you want to do here is you want to finish your development.
So you'd be okay with I do this, for instance? Or
yeah, you can make moves on the board.
Or push the pawn? Yeah. So like I push the knight or I push the pawn up.
Yeah, no, pushing the pawn and pushing the knight are both absolutely reasonable moves. Both moves are completely fine. So it doesn't really matter on the order that you do it, but now after I castle, you want to bring your knight out. Well, remember the basics.
This knight out.
Yeah, so the basis of what you want to do in the opening is you want to bring your piece out and finish the development rather than like trying to attack right away. Because you can bring the knight here, but it doesn't attack anything.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, if I was playing super serious, I would actually push this pawn here and try to attack you right away because you wasted time getting your king out of the middle of the board.
Oh, I would not know how to deal with that development, huh?
So normally, what you want to do here is you want to bring your knight out, and if I take the pawn, you just take obviously, and you castle your king.
Yeah.
And if I were to play a move like pawn here, for example, it's not effective anymore because what you can do is you can take the pawn. If I take back, now you'll take the pawn. I have to capture, and what's your next move?
Hold on. I'm wondering if there's a trick. It's this, right? It forces the...
Well, now I just take and I'm again laughing.
Wait, no, it was the bishop capture first.
Right. So yeah,
right?
You capture, and then after takes, you just win this pawn.
Okay.
So if I go back to this position where you move the knight, like when I push the pawn, it's completely different here because you haven't developed the knight, so there's no pressure in the center of the board, and now you're going to end up under pressure right away because this move just doesn't do anything. So what you should do here is you should bring your knight out, and now I can't attack the center because you're putting massive pressure on this pawn on d5. So normally the way that the game would go is I play a move like knight here, and now again to finish the development.
This?
Right, exactly, yeah, and probably I would play something like rook e8, and now you would, of course.
It'd probably be a castle here, or I'd go here, right?
Right. So again, one of the main things that you want to do is you want to finish your development before you try to attack.
So it would be like I just castle first. Did you ever queenside castle in this game?
You can't. Yes, you definitely can. But normally, if you want to do that, you have to have a very specific set of where your pieces are. So in order to try and castle queenside here, for example, you would have to take this pawn first. Because what happens is if you try to like bring your queen here, and I take, you take back, and I go here, is that basically when you try to castle your king to the queen side, I start attacking right away. Whereas your attack over here is very slow. So normally when you castle on the opposite side of the board, do you know, how would you try to attack?
pawn push, right?
Right. So normally when you attack,
yeah.
it's like the pawn's going up the board. So the problem here is that black's pawns are much quicker than white's pawns, and eventually, like if I get a pawn here, you're gonna have to move the knight.
Yeah.
So basically, you end up having to deal with a lot of attacking ideas. So the way that you would do this if you wanted to castle is you would take.
Holy shit. Okay.
And now you would go queen here.
Oh. Then you force the diagonal, but with the battery, but with the bishop first.
Right, and actually, here it doesn't work, so I have two knights guarding each other. But yes, you always keep an eye on this pawn. And for example, let's say I push the pawn here. I capture. If I were to capture, well, I guess I can capture the knight here. You can now castle your king.
Okay.
So okay, so now let me go back to the other position just to see if you can. So do you see? So just look at this position for 1 second. Basically, where the pawns and the bishops are in the center of the board.
Yeah.
And now when I go to the to this position, what is the difference?
Wait, sorry, I literally looked away for half a second. What exactly was the first position? And I see the second position.
Okay, so you see this one, and now I'll go to the first position. Okay, so let me go back to like this position.
Is it just the bishop?
Yeah, it's the bishop, but also when you look at where my pawns are as my black pawns, there are no real weaknesses. So if you go to this position, there's no way you know this turn, but you see this pawn here?
Yeah.
I have no pawns that can support the pawn.
Right.
So the only piece that supports this is knight. Whatever. That's close. Basically, it's called an isolated pawn.
Okay.
Because it's the only pawn here, and in this case, it's a big weakness because your rook and your knight are aiming right towards it. And also, you have a secondary threat as well, which is like you're also threatening to remove the defender, this knight here, and then win the pawn here, because the knight is the only piece that guards this pawn on the h7 square.
Yeah.
So in this case, castling is very good because everything is in harmony. Your knight and your rook attack the pawn, your bishop targets this knight on f6, and the battery is attacking the pawn on h7.
Okay.
So in this case, it's much different. And I generally am going to try to attack, whereas let's say I push this pawn. Your next move would be? Because it's the theme. So here you would castle queenside.
Right.
And now one thing that you'll notice is with where the pawns are, since I have the pawns here versus the other line where I'm attacking, if I ever try to attack your knight here, you can remove your knight from this side of the board and bring it back.
And there's no real, it's not that bad.
Well, it's actually much better for white, because what you're going to do is you're going to push the pawns, but you also have another idea here. And this is a general idea, this is a very general idea. So just keep this in mind, even if your king was on the king side, is very oftentimes if you can get a knight to this square, this f5 square, it's very, very powerful because it attacks the pawn and attacks the bishop. So let me just make a couple of random moves. So like, just think of this knight, just it's a formation specific thing. So it's not like, you know, this position or that position. But if you get a knight to this square where black is a king with 3 pawns here like this, very oftentimes this is it's a very powerful attacking piece because it keeps an eye on the bishop and the pawn. And long term, there are always going to be issues with this pawn on g7. So like you can even try like h4, h5, h6 and put pressure on the pawn. So just think about this knight here on f5 when there are 3 pawns and a king. If you can get a knight here where it can't be attacked or removed right away, it's a very, very powerful piece.
All right.
And it doesn't matter where your king is. Even if your king was on this side, if you castle to the king side over here, it still would be a very strong piece. But in general, if you can get the knight here with a black king, or even if it's reversed, it's always a very strong piece. But in general, like what you want to do is when you play these queen pawn openings, you try to develop your bishop and your queen and your knight as fast as possible, rather than trying to play too much in the center. Like with
okay. That's a mistake I've been making. Okay, cool. That's great.
And let me just go forward just one last little thing. So like when we reach this position, as I was trying to explain, I know I didn't explain it very well, but the position is very close. Like this e file is completely locked. Nobody's going to do anything for the whole game because of where the pawns are. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the only file that's open here is going to be this D file. It's the only file where there's going to be action, basically. So what you'd want to do as white here is you want to try to figure out how can you open up this D file first.
Usually it's like pressure on this pawn, and then the rooks, right?
Right. So the way that you're going to basically open this up, it's very conceptual. So I'll give you the first move. Let's say you move the queen here, okay?
Okay. Okay. Shit, okay.
What'd you think was better, or do you see a problem?
No. Because like what I did in game was I did the over the queen to whatchamacallit.
Right, you went this way. But the thing is, like, and this is another this is an advanced concept, but in this position you're using your two most powerful units to attack, your queen and your rook.
Yep.
But oftentimes when you're trying to attack your opponent, if they can sort of stop the attack with one piece, then you've put all your forces that your most powerful forces towards the side of the board where they can't do anything. So like when I bring the bishop back, let's say you move the queen here and you reach this position. You see how your queen and your rook are trying to attack my king?
Yeah.
Are they being very successful?
No.
Right, so basically you have a queen and a rook that are trying to attack, and this lone bishop, which is worth a lot less material than your queen and your bishop, or your queen and your rook, basically it's the one bishop is stopping your whole attack, and then I basically can use my queen and my rooks to attack you in the center of the board.
Okay.
So like conceptually what you're trying to do here is not attack, you're trying to open this up.
Open up the file, okay.
So I gave you the first move, so let's say I push the pawn. So let's say I move the bishop. Okay, you can do this, but concept. So you want to open up the center part of the board. So basically what I'm saying is I'm never going to move this pawn to capture your pawn. I'm never going to give you this file. Okay, so let's look at your pieces. Your rooks are relatively okay. You could stack the rooks. Yeah. Right, so that's a very good idea. And it's probably one of the best ideas, but that would improve your rooks. What piece here is not very well placed for you?
I would say this one.
Right, but actually I meant piece. So when I say piece, normally that means everything that's not a pawn.
Oh, this one sucks.
Okay, yeah. But what about your bishop?
It's in a bad spot.
So basically your bishop doesn't attack anything because I have this wall of pawns
blocked
that aren't really under attack.
Oh, so I'd bring it back here. That gives me an open line? Is that right?
Right, but again, even if you come back, I'm not going to ever move this pawn.
Oh.
I'm going to leave this pawn here forever. So how do you force this line for? How do you force this line to open up here?
Holy shit.
Okay, I'll give you the first move. So you take the pawn. So
oh, is it?
Back.
Oh, what the? So now you go here.
You can do that, but again, I want you to force this. I want you to force it open. I want you to force this file open here.
It's here. Am I open?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I didn't see the move on my screen for some reason. But yeah, it is pawn push. And do you see what happens after I capture your pawn?
I think I take with bishop. Yeah.
So now when you look at this position, you look at your bishop. If I go back to this position, your bishop is not really doing anything special on d3.
And now it's pressuring a lot of the board.
Yeah, basically when you reach this position, your bishop is pressuring it, but also now you're going to be able to double your rooks on this file. And my bishop is very bad. Specifically, like my bishop is stuck behind these pawns and it's always defending. So what you're trying to do is like open up this middle part of the board, but also in the process improve all your pieces. Like your bishop is very, very nice here, and your rooks are going to be really, really dominant.
Interesting. Okay.
So what I'm trying to basically tell you is that just look for like where your pieces are and like how can you improve them. I'm not saying this is easy. This is pretty.
Fair enough. It's just developing pieces to the point where they're useful and like active.
Right. So when you think about your pieces, where are they best placed? Specifically, like where can you put your rooks at their best place? And like even here, thinking about your bishop is fine, but can you try to improve it so that it has more scope? Because right here, like it's not doing much. It's these pawns basically prevent it from doing anything. But when you're able to get this position where you open up the center, your bishop is fabulous here.
Okay.
Okay, let's do another one.
Oh God. Okay.
I'll give you white again. I'll just give you white every game because I think it's more productive and it's easier to pick up stuff. Okay. So I'm gonna play a different setup.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to stop your pawn, push in the center.
I think I'm...
You feel like you've done something wrong here?
I don't know. I was thinking about pushing pawn to up a little bit, but it feels that I think that something went wrong. And I'm not sure what went wrong, but it's like something went wrong. That's how I feel.
Your instincts are good. Your instincts are definitely good.
For this position, I just keep seeing Albert's move. He would just push G3, immediately open up the kingside castle. Literally his standard play every game.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely fine here, and it's probably the best move actually. But it's not like if you don't really like that setup, it's kind of hard to play it.
It's kind of. Is it weird that I think it's kind of boring?
No. Well, you have to develop your piece and castle your king. I mean, unless you would rather just lose.
Let me go see how it works out.
It's like I said, it's probably the best move here.
Yep. Whenever you say I just immediately think to myself, oh no.
No, it's completely fine. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do.
I pushed the wrong pawn.
Oh, which pawn do you want to move?
I was supposed to push the F pawn here. If I remember correctly. It's fine. I'm trying to think how Actually, I was supposed to pressure your bishop, but then I pushed the pawn to where it's impossible for me to ever do that now. Huh. It's fine. Huh. Ooh. Okay. Okay, this game looks like a disaster now. I literally just walked into a train wreck right here.
Yeah, basically your bishop got trapped in the middle of the board.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, and this is a resign. Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, so basically, like that game just, I don't even need to analyze that, but basically what I was going to say in this opening is, regardless of my first move, you should push your pawn to c4 and play the same development.
Which one? To c4?
On move 2, yeah, pawn to c4. So like instead of knight c3, you should just push the pawn to c4 first on move 2.
Okay. Okay, I'm down.
So like instead of knight c3, you push the pawn and then bring the knight out behind it. Like one thing you don't want to do normally is bring your knight out without a pawn in front of it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Jesus. All right.
Let's try. Let's do one more. Okay.
Oh
so I'll do a different setup again.
Okay. So it'd be
c4 here.
Well, regardless if there's no pawn here?
Yeah, because what you want to do is you want to push the pawn and develop that knight to c3.
Okay.
So you try to play for the center of the board.
Would f4 ever be a play here?
Almost never.
Okay.
And you can maybe do it in some positions, but basically what you want to do is very rarely do you want to push the pawn next to that pawn on f2 forward unless you've already gotten your king out of the middle of the board.
Okay.
I'll do. Yeah, this is very, very good so far. Very good. Now, you push your pawns up. One thing you have to remember, though, is like even though you want to be aggressive with the pawns, at some point you do have to develop the rest of your pieces.
True. I don't think I've ever pushed a knight out to the right file or the side files.
Because normally the rule when you move the knights is move them towards the center rather than towards the edge of the board.
Yeah. This might have been the only time I've ever made that move.
It's not a bad move. It protects the pawn, at least.
Oh, that's fine. Oh. Wow, this is so awkward. Oh, this is so awkward. What? If I do this, do I just lose? No, I have to force a trade here, right? There's too much pressure. Wow. Why can't I see the right play here? This?
That's the best move, yeah, because you stop me from capturing the pawn, but you protect your knight.
Wow. I can't believe that was the right move. What the?
Well, because
Actually,
otherwise you lose more forces.
Yeah, I lose everything. I
Right.
didn't think it was that good of an attacking position, but it is.
It's the only move that doesn't just lose the game on the spot. Only move.
What the fuck? This is so much pressure. Wow.
CJDJ91 tipped $5, so from what it looks, chess players looks really patient. But, does it by any chance happen you get impatient at other players?
Huh.
So do you see what's happening here?
Yeah. Oh.
Right, that pin was really
Oh,
deadly.
Jeez. Oh God. Uh. Huh. Okay. Where did all my pieces go? I don't even know how to. From this position, this is like I don't want to trade anything, so I have to just look for like pins. But I don't have any pawns. They're all gone.
Right, it's like you've got no pawns, and I've got a bunch of pawns, and I have extra bishops. So it's like you have no squares because you're lacking in pawns.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good move.
Oh my God. You even had a. It opens up your. Huh. I don't want to trade, but I don't think I have a better option. Okay, this is a concede right here. Yeah. I think once you get your rook out, it's like kind of doomed for me. My God. Wait, I can't even move my rook. Wait. And now I can't go in. Yikes. Okay.
Yeah, basically what you did wrong in this game is you pushed too many pawns. Like, you want to take space with your pawns, but you end up in a situation where you end up using, like, you end up giving up squares in the long run. It's like...
Okay. Okay.
Right, so I'll show you. Generally, when you start with this opening, what you want to do is you want to bring your knight out first, because you threaten to take more of the center.
Oh, okay.
So you're always looking to develop this bishop. Like, you're always looking to bring it out to one of these squares.
So you wouldn't play the bishop first here?
Well, no, because actually, I mean, I wasn't playing the absolute best moves. Like, if you bring the bishop out, the problem with doing this right away is that you end up in a situation where you create a weakness on your queen side immediately.
Oh, and your king comes out here?
Exactly, yeah. I bring my queen out and I put a lot of pressure on both of these pawns, and you no longer have the bishop back at home defending the pawn on b2.
Oh, okay.
So, like, for example, if you bring the knight out, let's say I push this pawn, you can actually just push your pawn forward. Because there's no threat. My queen can't come out and ever attack. Your bishop is still at home protecting. And then what you're going to do after that is you're just going to push the pawn in the center, and then you're going to bring your knight, your bishop, and then bring the other bishop out, basically.
Okay.
So normally you want to bring this knight out first, and then black has many moves. But let's just say I move my bishop out here. What you can do, there are a couple of moves, but what I would recommend you do is just bring this knight out.
Oh.
And after
Okay.
I castle the king, now you bring this bishop out to attack the knight.
Mm-hmm.
If I push this pawn, you go back to h4. So you keep this pin alive on the knight.
And I don't care. Do I care if you push up on your other?
So yeah, I mean, I can do this move, but then you go back, and normally, like when you have your king castled like this, it's very
exposed?
dangerous. Yeah, it's very dangerous pushing the pawns up like this. Because when you do this like long term, white, you're gonna try to open up this H file down towards my king.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, like it doesn't matter what color you are, but very, very rarely do you want to push this pawn when your king is like this. When you get these pawns in front of the king, whenever you do this, it's very dangerous.
Okay.
So normally you should develop the knight, and then like if I just play a move like this, bring the knight, I castle, you go here. Let's say I go here, you go here. Normally I'll try to develop, like bring this bishop out. And now how do you complete your development? Remember, you want to
push pawn, right?
Yeah, actually in this position, I think it's okay. I'm not sure. What I was going to recommend that you probably do is go one square forward like this.
Oh, okay. It still gives me a diagonal for my bishop to work.
Right. Basically, everything you do in this opening, it's a very simple set idea. You want to bring this bishop out to one of these two squares. Then you want to push the pawn. So let me just give you something conceptual so you can see this. So like what you want to do more often than not is you want to create this what we call a pawn chain in chess. But your bishop is outside of the pawn chain. So you see how this bishop is like attacking? It can go to all these different squares.
Okay.
If you go back here and you push the pawn, it's locked in. Like it's inside these pawns because the bishop no longer has any scope.
Okay.
So when you play this opening with the queen pawn, you want to bring the knight out, and then you want to bring your bishop out. Okay. And then you're going to look to push the pawn and put the bishop on the diagonal.
Okay.
So let me just make some moves so you understand the idea. So, right, okay. And then you're going to try to finish the development. Mm-hmm. So this is not about a specific move, it's about a specific set idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Would pushing c pawn to c5 be okay then? Just not good for me.
Well, you would lose a pawn. But basically what I'm saying is like at this first like 6 to 7 moves of the game, you want to just develop your pieces and castle your king rather than like try to be on the offensive. Like it's in the middle part of the game that you really want to go attack your opponent. But you don't want to do that right from the start. So you play the first like 7, 8 moves and then you look to attack.
Okay.
So you want to develop and then castle your king. So something like this, yeah. And then long term, what you're looking for is something like either the battery with the checkmate ideas, or to move the rook and try to push these pawns up here in the center part of the board.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You want to do one more? Actually, I'll give you big time odds.
You mean what?
Big time odds.
Time odds.
Yeah. So just make your move. So.
Oh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to play with 1 minute on the clock. So take your time and don't move too fast.
What? Okay.
So you have 10 minutes, so breathe. Just try to remember the basic ideas for the first 10 moves of the game, which is develop your pieces.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, you just realized what you did wrong, right?
I just made a mistake. I trapped my bishop.
Right. It's still not bad though, but still try to continue with the basic idea. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is bad, chat. This is bad. I just put it back on push to talk. This is really bad for Scarra. Down a piece. I think in general he's doing fine. The issue is that like he sees the right concept and then he bails. Like he sees the right idea, but then he bails out and tries. Then he does something different. And again, don't make fun of him. He's not super new to the game as well, which is also why I'm going through some of the stuff that's not super basic, because I do he's talking but he's talking to his chat, yeah. But what I would say is that yeah, in general, like he's got the basics down, but then in the middle it's just like for a move or two he just forgets he forgets what he's supposed to do, and then it all falls apart. But he is good. He definitely is good. I don't know how he would have done in PogChamps. It would have been interesting to see. I think with a couple of lessons, I would put him as one of the people that I think has the best chances. And yeah, of course he's not going to apply it, but I will basically, what I try to explain in general is stuff that is more, it's going to be stuff that like it might take longer to internalize, and maybe he needs to maybe it'll take a while for him to pick it up, but once he picks it up, and he is capable of picking this up, by the way, it will make him a much better player.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I basically pre-moved there. I think Albert did that against you at the end of the game.
Yeah.
That you played. Yeah, I mean, again, like what you did was fine, but
it's just as soon as the bishop got stuck back there, yeah,
it just fell apart, right? Yeah, I mean, I think in general you have the basics down. It's just remembering to it feels like you want to try to attack before it's the right time. Like you want to attack, but you try to do it before you finish the development. Like even your idea with pushing the pawn to c5 was relatively okay, but you did it too early and you didn't castle your king before you tried to do everything on the queen side of the board. But in general, I mean, what you're doing is very good. You just have to remember to develop and castle your king first before you go for the kill. Because in general, what you're doing is good. It's just you're doing the order slightly wrong.
I understand.
That's all I would say. Now, I mean, I have given you a lot of like, it's not super basic because you do have great potential and great talent. And I'm not just saying that. Like, out of all the people that I've helped, I would say probably you're, based on the play I've seen from like what you played against Albert, you're one of like the top like 2 or 3. You're probably Voyboy is the best still, but in general, the way that you apply it, what you know, is really good. It's just you need to remember the order of things to do at the start of the game.
I know, that's very flattering. I honestly, it's very flattering. If I didn't just get beat down with 44 seconds, I feel a little bit better. But thank you anyway. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I could have moved even quicker actually. So it's.
Oh shit! Oh no, okay, yeah, no. Thanks for letting me know.
Well, okay, let's do one more then. I think let's do one more. I'll do it with 30 seconds.
Okay. Oh, are you sure? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, one second, just getting the clock reset.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Oh,
right, let's go.
Are you sure you can do it 25?
I'm pretty confident that I can do this. Yeah, pretty confident.
Oh. Wow, I lost my queen. What the fuck? Huh. Alright. Looks like you didn't even need 20.
So, someone's gonna clip that and probably send that to you at some point. Because based on the last like 20 moves of the game, I literally pre-moved it. So I had already made all my moves like when you were thinking.
Oh my god. Holy shit. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I think even in this game, the main thing that you forgot again was you have to get the king out of the center of the board. That's where all your problems originated, was that you didn't get the king out of the middle part of the board. That's all you had to do, and you would have had a chance.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
yeah. I mean, no, you did well. It's just I think in most games you forget the order. Once you remember the order and you get your king out of the center of the board, then you attack. At least against the other streamers I've seen, you're gonna be just as good as them. Maybe Void Boy's better, but he's the only one I think. Like you're just as good as BOXBOX for sure. Like
Okay. Okay. You know how you get beat up like really bad? I feel like I was like a preschooler. You were taking my lunch money. Like you didn't take my lunch money just for one day. You like took it for the whole year. Like
That's well, I mean, but in a way, like, doesn't that kind of make sense with a game like chess? Because like when you think about the amount of time that I spent on the game, isn't that kind of how it should be?
Oh yeah, no, it is. For sure.
I meant like in perspective. I don't mean like in general. That's a good thing. I meant in general perspective, not like. But yes, I understand what you're saying. Certainly, when you lose these games, it feels like that. Yeah, totally.
It's okay. It's all right. Not a big deal.
All
right.
Yeah.
I bullied a lot today.
No, but I mean, I think the thing is like it's just like just try to remember like what you can learn from it. Because obviously, if you're playing against me, like I'm gonna win every game. But if you learn the lessons that I'm trying to give you, that's I think the more important thing. Because then when you play against like Fuslie or BOXBOX, if you remember the order, like develop the pieces, castle, the king, you have the basic setup, then it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to be the one being the bully.
I will aspire to be the bully.
Well, like I said, you're better than BOXBOX already, so.
Okay. Okay.
You are. Like, when I saw the openings in those games, like, the quality of the moves you played was better than...
Dude, Albert's gonna challenge me later today. He's be like, I heard what he said. And when I get smashed, I'll be like, he was just kidding. I'm always the guy getting bullied.
Okay, well, like I said, when I saw the games you played a couple days ago against him, like, you were beating him out of the openings every game. So, like, you do have that potential.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the lesson. It's been really nice.
Yeah, no problem. Glad you enjoyed it.
I'll probably actually be playing Leslie later tonight because I think she asked if to play chess.
Well, I will say one piece of advice. Make sure that if you get 2 queens against her, you show her how to checkmate. Unlike Fed, because Fed had a position against. They were playing the night before her match. And Fed had 2 queens, and he didn't make the checkmate the way he was supposed to. So I like personally hold Fed responsible for Leslie not winning and making champions bracket. Yes.
Oh my god.
So yeah. So if you play Leslie, just make sure she sees a couple of those checkmates, because she had that literally the night before, and Fed being Fed, he didn't show her the proper technique, and that cost her champions bracket.
I can see that. It's Fed's fault. I got you.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, have fun playing chess against some of the other streamers. So you're definitely one of the more talented streamers that I've seen since you played it a lot as a kid, and just have fun.
Thanks, Hikaru.
Yeah, no problem. Hope you enjoy it. Have a great rest of your stream.
No problem. I'm gonna cry now. Goodbye.
All right. Okay. All right. Bye.